Ask HG, Episode 6, Part 3. Hello, I'm HG Tudor, and you join me as I take a walk through the various questions that have been posed in Episode 5, and I take the questions as they come, no forward reading, just dealing with them off the cuff. And we start with a question from Sarah Balcom. Some people's previous comments seem alarmed about you killing someone. I'm an empath, but find it fascinating. Well, it's probably as a consequence of it's not something that you've done or you'll ever do, and therefore you get that vicarious interest and thrill in hearing about somebody engaging in that behaviour. I am a fascinating character. There's a lot I've not told you about what I do. I may do so one day. There's a lot I do tell you about the things that I've done. If you'd like to learn more, go to the Knowledge Vault and fully embrace the the Knowing HG series, episodes 1 through 9. You will find that extremely interesting. Extremely interesting. You find it fascinating because, of part, your emotional thinking will draw you to interact with me on the basis that you're an empath. I'm a narcissist, so you're naturally drawn to me in that way. And what it does is, it'll corrupt your truth-seeker trait to want to know more about me, particularly the incident of killing somebody. Brittany K. HG, a narcissist cannot be in a relationship with another narcissist. Well, actually, they can. Listen to the videos when narcissists collide, parts 1 and 2. Jasminia Bosic. Hi, HG, are narcissists selfish? Yes. All individuals have the narcissistic trait of selfishness. Even empathic people. You have to. Because if you were truly selfless, in the ultimate way, you'd have refugees living in every room of your house, you'd give away all of your money, give away all of your food, your possessions and clothing, and therefore you wouldn't function properly in terms of living. And therefore you have to have a degree of selfishness in order to execute your self-preservation. Empathic people, of course, have their selfishness modelled and controlled by their empathic traits, so it doesn't manifest in an unpleasant and difficult way for anybody else. What it does is it operates in a healthy way to protect them without causing problems for other people. With us, of course, we have no empathic traits to keep that narcissistic trait in check, and selfishness is something that is regularly exhibited by the narcissist. Understand, of course, we can generate the idea of being generous so that it doesn't look like we're being selfish, but there is, of course, the fact that that is done by us in order to generate a facade, for example. It's a benign manipulation and is part of the pursuit of the prime aims. Boffy Boo asks how a narcissist would use Me Too movement for their personal gain. Well, I have written about this in an article on my blog about Me Too, so I suggest you go and find that. Ronald Baxter. Why do people think Richard Grannon is a narcissist? I found his videos about narcissists helpful. Well, a narcissist can be helpful. Take this one that's talking to you already. I provide you with a wealth of very useful information. Repeatedly, people pose the question, is Richard Grannon an narc? And various people state that they believe that he is one. The evidence speaks for itself. Carmen Miranda. Do you feel fear? Nope. Do any narcissists feel fear? Yes, they do. Particularly when they see HG bearing down on them. Anna Sophia Torres. If you killed someone, why aren't you in jail? Because only stupid people go to prison. That's why, and I'm not stupid. Therefore, I am not going to be an individual that is going to be in prison. Also, you do realise that there are lawful bases for killing people. Hence, that's why your glorious narrator finds himself free to sing to all of you about narcissism and isn't being the daddy in prison. Jeff asks, HG, have you ever been given a run for your money? I wouldn't put it as strongly as that. Yes, there are individuals who've put up a sustained challenge, and it's all the more enjoyable when they're conquered. Justin Acosta. With all due respect, Mr. HG, you seem to have denied the question regarding narcissistic mortification. Surely, with your capacity of intelligence, you're at least familiar with the concept, at least on a cognitive level. Perhaps even if it only pertains to lower mid-range narcissists. Well, Justin, good attempt to butter me up there. But the point is, I don't deal in the use of the term mortification. Therefore, since I don't, it's irrelevant to me. You have to understand that I generate my own work. I don't go around looking at other people's work. Why? It's inferior to mine, and I'm simply not interested. I also don't have the time. Yes, I learn about what other people say because my dedicated readers and viewers contact me. So they'll say, X says this, is this correct? Or Y has commented in this respect. What are your views on that? So I do find out a little bit about what other practitioners, if I can call it that way, in the field of advising and talking about narcissism say and do. As I've explained elsewhere, many of these providers have honest intentions, but they are just doing it from a victim perspective, and therefore they miss a lot out, and they basically regurgitate information that they found elsewhere. They're not adding anything new, and they often get things wrong, perpetuating myths about my kind. Then the worst group, of course, are the unaware mid-rangers who utilise YouTube, blogs, Facebook, etc. as a platform for the assertion of control and the drawing of fuel, character traits and residual benefits. They don't have anything interesting to say about narcissism. Why? They don't know that they are actually narcissists, and all they do, again, is regurgitate people's material, plagiarise it. Often I find that my material is stolen in that regard. And when they do so, they don't even get it right. Why? Because they don't understand, because they're unaware narcissists. They don't understand because they don't have the level of insight and observation that I, as the ultra, have. So when it comes to terms utilised by other people, in some instances I'm aware of them, purely because I'm told about them, but a lot of the time I'm not, because I'm simply not interested, and it's not relevant because my material gives you the insight from somebody who has that tremendous level of insight, and that enables you to gain that high level of understanding yourself. Kim Will, you seem really busy a lot. How do you chill and relax, HG? I don't chill and relax. There's no need to do so. I don't require that. I'm always doing stuff. And that's the way that I am. That's the way that I've been designed. I don't need to relax. I rest when I'm asleep. My brain largely shuts off. It's like I'm dead when I'm asleep. Indeed, I've had various intimate partner primary sources in the past. I have to check that I'm alive because I'm so still. They think that I've died. But I don't need to chill and relax. It doesn't serve any purpose to me. It doesn't serve any purpose with regard to the prime aims. Of course, I engage in leisure activities, but I'm not one for just sort of sitting around and resting on my laurels. I0. I struggle to understand the distinction between the behaviour of a lesser victim narcissist and a middle range narcissist. Well, what you're confusing is, first of all, you're doing lesser, which is a school, as opposed to a sub-school. And as you know, there are 4 lesser sub-schools: lower lesser, middle lesser, and upper lesser A and upper lesser B. And then you're only dealing with one sub-school without a cadre of mid-range narcissist. A victim narcissist, which doesn't appear in every sub-school, but a victim may be a crybaby, but not necessarily so. The victim status is more about behaviours such as needing to be mothered by somebody, needing someone to take excessive care. The person who is a serial complainer and whiner uses ill health and injury, either real or imagined, for the purposes of manipulations. An individual who's financially haphazard. And so you can get that victim trait amongst the lessers and the mid-rangers. Mid-range A and B are not necessarily of the victim cadre. They can be, but a mid-range A is not a crybaby. Sure, they might occasionally use pity plays because they're a mid-ranger, and all mid-rangers will use pity plays to varying degrees, but it is not the dominant manipulation that they use. Mid-range A, the dominant manipulation is that of being a fake empath, thinking they're a good person, helping people, and then acting butthurt when they're rejected. Middle-range B is the crybaby. Turns on the waterworks, thinks the universe has cursed them and the world is against them. And so you're not making a completely direct comparison because you're taking school and cadre when you should be looking at sub-school and cadre and then just sub-school. What you would do better is to say, HG, can you talk to me about, for instance, this sub-school and this cadre and this sub-school and this cadre? And what I'd recommend that you do, I0, is go to the Knowledge Vault and obtain the HG More series. That'll help you considerably. Donna Holton asks this question. HG, I have been divorced for 4 months legally because of COVID. Oh, right. Can you get divorced because of COVID now? I didn't realise that was a ground for divorce. How interesting. My ex-husband stole my wedding rings, and I knew that he did. He had my son call me and tell me that he'd found my wedding rings in the sink drain. Why did you do that? It's a Hoover, and he's triangulating you with the wedding rings for the purposes of asserting control over you and drawing fuel. Therefore, in those circumstances, his narcissism drove him to lie, although he believes it's the truth, assuming that he's an unaware narcissist, which I'm going to do because that's the majority of narcissists. So his narcissism caused him to believe a lie for the purposes of asserting control over you, to draw fuel from you in this manner. Tom Muggeridge asks, what majority school cadre of empath is Prince Harry? Well, you'll have to use Show Me the Empath, which is in the Knowledge Vault. Prunell, what is happening to other sources of supplies? Supplies of what? Fruit? Powdered milk? Chocolate? When one of them escape? Is it a kind of domino effect? Is everyone paying for it, or are they still able to compartmentalise? Oh, so what you mean is, what happens to the other appliances in the fuel matrix when one of the appliances escapes? Well, it depends on what that person's position is. If it's a tertiary source, the narcissist probably isn't going to do anything. If it's a secondary source, different action will be taken. And of course, if it's a primary source, non-intimate or intimate, and they escape, then it's even more problematic for the narcissist. If you want to understand more about these various permutations, you can do no better than go to the Knowledge Vault and obtain Understanding Changes to the Fuel Matrix. I go into detail about all of that. Your question is a very expansive one and is outside of the remit of this particular method of answering questions. Please go and access the material that I've just referred you to. Laurie, number 1. HG, because of your higher intellect, could you choose not to be a narcissist with a certain person? No. I am a narcissistic psychopath. That's what I am. It's like asking me not to be white anymore. It's part of who I am. Mindja, or Mindja, asks, 1. Are you not concerned that you may be identified as your reach increases? Some of us may move in your circles. You might do, but I've explained this before. No, I'm not concerned. Reason being that if somebody who's in my circles happens to come across these videos and hears it, they're unlikely to realise that it's me because there will be a cognitive dissonance. Also, I changed the pronunciation of things slightly to my normal voice, not massively, but sufficient to cast doubt into those person's mind, and at the end of the day, they won't work it out because I'm a master at doing these things and basically evaporating into thin air. Then question 2a, is there a typical length of gold and bronze period and does it vary by school cadre of narcissist? It's roughly 6 to 18 months and more dependent upon the behaviour of the victim. 2b, will the narcissist extend a golden period where new IPPS is unlikely to be found as a result of advancing age or diminishing opportunity and the narcissist's need for IPPS residual benefits? No. Sandra Pantilia, I have a question about narcissist behaviour. Good for you. Midnight Dew. Can you spot an empath only by analysing their glance? What do you mean? They sort of just glance at me from as I walk past them. Well, it would invariably be an admiring glance when they see your glorious narrator strutting his stuff along the pavement. But by look alone, no, it would take more than that. I0's back again. Would you say it's a common scenario that a lesser narcissist is drawn to a fake empath, mid-range narc or victim narc, then realises instinctively that this person is not a reliable source of fuel as initially thought, and so the relationship breaks up? I wouldn't say it's common, no. Nafiz Z, in capitals, attention HG Tudor. Well, you've got it, so make good use of it. Can an aware narcissist redeem him or herself? Do you mean, can they redeem themselves with other people? Certainly. If I've caused a problem for somebody and then I help them out, I've redeemed myself, haven't I? There we are. LE, hi, HG and commenters. Questions. 1. WRT, partners of narcissists, do you think there is a little bit of culpability, naivety on the part? I mean, what do people think they're going to get marrying a Clinton, Trump, Putin, Cruz, DeGeneres type person? Sensitive, caring, selfless? Really? I realise I'm victim blaming, but so many people I see buy into public, not celebrity personas, and then don't like the behind-the-scenes reality. Apologies, commenters, victors, if this is insensitive. Well, it's not so much naivety, but simply the fact that most people don't know about narcissism when they're first caught, and even though they may see some red flags, their emotional thinking blinds them to them, and therefore in the circumstances, to suggest that they are naive at the outset isn't accurate. Of course, the individual that doesn't take the steps that they need to take in order to stay away from the narcissist can exhibit naivety thereafter in terms of, oh, I know all about narcissism now, I'll be safe. It takes more than that. Rabbit Bill, what have we got here? Sun Tuz. Sun Tuz? The best is no contact, with custody of the children. Sun Tuz them for the court to show the court. I've no idea what you're going on about, Rabbit Bill. You are rabbiting on, and not in a helpful way. Hello, HG. It's Celsi Reclaim. Can you shed any light on narcissism and autism? There seems to be an overlap of traits between the two. Can one be misdiagnosed as the other? Yes, it can. There are individuals that are autistic that might be viewed as narcissistic, but with careful scrutiny, and I'm going to be doing videos about this, so I'm not going to go into it in any great detail at this juncture, but basically there are distinguishing factors with an individual who's autistic that enable anybody really who understands narcissism to a decent degree to be able to identify that they're not. Run with the wind. It would be remiss not to have you along here, wouldn't it? With HG, thank you. Where's the thank you for helping me understand me? That's what you normally write. Grip up. Donna Cornell, HG, have you ever laughed? Yes, I laugh. I mean, found something really funny and could not stop. I can always stop laughing. A simpleton keeps laughing forever. I have considerable control over me. Celsi Reclaim. Although this is hilarious, HG, why do your kind have to suck the joy out of everything? Because we're envious of your contentment, and that you have to be devalued in order to attend to our needs. So, as a consequence, the joy is sucked out of it because that's what we require. MB asks for episode 6, since NPD is formed by age 9, and majority ages until age 18 in most cases, how would a parent manage an NPD child? Well, the problem is that we can't say that a child has NPD. You can only make a determination of that individual until 18. However, if there are various problematic behaviours, of course GOSO isn't the option, and in the circumstances what you have to do is minimise the involvement, and it's a little bit of an expansive question because the manifestation of the behaviours either is sort of like teenage rebel, or if this is somebody who is a narcissist, although we can't say for certain at that juncture for the reasons that I've just explained. If the individual is a narcissist, and they're a teen narcissist, we would really need to know how's their behaviour manifesting. For instance, it's not like they're going to be cheating on your parents because they're not in a intimate relationship with their parents. It might be, of course, that they have a lot of intimate relationships and they're haphazard. And there's a slew of broken hearts. But I suppose you're asking is, how does the parent manage it rather than, say, friends and boyfriends, girlfriends do of that child? And in order to do so, one would need to know more about the particular manifestation of the behaviours in that instance. And this is something that's best addressed, MB, through consultation. Kyla Wren explains, I get the sense you're an attorney, HG. Well, I get the sense that you're wrong. So thanks for trying. Carmen Miranda adds, I think he's got a finger in many pies. Pervert. And of course, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a ball-washing bastard lawyer, but I do know a lot about the law because I've had the misfortune to have to deal with a lot of lawyers, and I've gained a good understanding of it as a consequence of the fact that, one, I was divorced, two, I've had various business disputes and so forth, and I've had to take action against people using the law to protect my own interests. So I have a pretty good understanding of the judicial system in that regard, but I'm not a lawyer. Well, that brings us to the end of part 3. We will continue to perambulate through the various questions, good, bad, and irreverent, in part 4. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening so far.